He lives beneath your very feet, yet he brings you no solace. His aims and desire is for you and all that you know to be destroyed. Basically, you're fucked. But in the meantime, you live none the wiser. He has devoured everything but the 1,000-mile desert and its inhabitants, the only thing left. His hunger was satiated, but they come for his blood again. They make war, the blood soaks in and awakens him once more. Gordinaak! I'm Alan Girding, and this is Mothershow, the show that's all about Mothership, the sci-fi horror role-playing game by Sean McCoy. Today, we're gonna take a look at Gordinaak and see if this baby is for you. This is a big bitch, because if you look at this compared to the Mothership Player's Guide, you can see the size difference. This is big, but it doesn't have that many pages. Does that mean that it could have possibly fit in a little zine right here, like the Desert Moon of Karth? Yeah, absolutely, it could have. So why go so big? Not sure. It really showcases the art. It kind of gives it its own feel. How do I describe Gordinaak in a quick synopsis? It's kind of like Warhammer meets John Carter for Mars, but definitely with that horror aspect. It's almost its own system. Think of it as like a subset of Mothership. So without further ado, let's get into Gordinaak. Buy Gordinaak and more at TuesdayNightGames.com. Buy all our shit. And right away we can see that there's some things that it came with via the Kickstarter. What's this baby? Oh, this is just a poster of the same thing as the cover. Look at that. Whoop. And then this right here is a map of Gordinaak. And this map is also featured in the Gordinaak book. In fact, let me skip to it. Boop, boom, 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 doo, 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 doo. Oh, here's the map. Gordinaak. And I think this is a good intro to Gordinaak as well. Gordinaak is a planet. Gordinaak is alive. He wants you dead. Ancient secrets in the sand. A single desert continent surrounded. From the black oceans emerge unimaginable terrors. One city stands above all others. A city of clans and their battles. This is Gordinaak. So as you can see here, there's just one kind of Pangea continent surrounded by this black ichor sea, the mired seas as it's called here, and a whole bunch of horrors emerge from it. It's basically bottlenecking the entire world into this one continent for simplicity. And in the middle is Oza, the main city. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go all the way to the beginning, see who wrote this bitch and everything else inside. Written by Jeremy Childrey, edited and proofreading by Jarrett Crater and Scott Ulms. Art and cartography by Anto Artunian, Michael Gibbons, and Ink Party. Powered by the Panic Engine. And I think the Panic Engine is Jeremy's little twist on the stress system that's in Mothership, because this really does expand on the Mothership rules. It's based in Mothership, but then you add a little paprika and spice, and then you have Gordinaak. And I think a great preview into Gordinaak, without getting into too many details, is just looking at the table of contents right here, and you can see everything that is within these pages. You have a new character creation process, different species which change your stats, jobs which also change your skills and some of your stats, I think. I'm not sure if I remember. Maybe it doesn't change your stats, but it does definitely change your skills. Then you have skills, Mancer powers, what the heck? Kind of like magical telekinesis powers, pretty cool mutation stuff. Overexertion table is what happens if you abuse your Mancer powers. Then you have your weapons, equipment / exo armor, that's right, there's exo armor rules in here. Drones are in here. Now here it talks about the rule changes for Mothership, and you have panic and stress, mutations, mech creation, the Gordinaak map, which we already looked at, and then you have the different areas of Gordinaak, the towns, the cities, Oza, Old Town, the Graves, the Altar, and Slow Sands. And then you have the Bestiary, the Bestiary as I call it, the NPCs. Then you have bad guy mechs, miscellaneous generators, and then it ends with its own little one-shot adventure. Let's dive into this. It shouldn't take too long, but at the same time, I want to serve it justice because this is oh so juicy. Character creation, roll 6d10 for each stat in order. Stats here are strength, speed, intellect, combat, gives you description saves. That's the same thing as Mothership. Stress, Gordinaak is a very stressful planet full of giant monsters, oppressive heat, and constant existential pain. Stressful might be an understatement. So characters begin with 0 stress and accumulate it when encountering experience intense situations, including anytime they fail a save. Look at this beautiful art, immersive. I love the details around here, the page numbers, and there are page numbers on every single page. It doesn't really break that motif except for the map page, I believe. But look at this, right away, these big pictures show the size difference. And here you can see the John Carter from Mars influence with the Bestiary species with the 4 arms. You have the Guri, which are basically giant Goliaths, humans. Then you have the Seti, lizard-like people. And you have the Saiki. If I'm pronouncing that right, don't know, but I'm gonna say Saiki. And these are your little gnomish looking creatures, probably smarter is my guess. So already we're getting immersed in the difference between Gordinaak and the regular humans of Mothership. Now here's the rundown. Eons ago, Gordinaak was settled by an array of species from different parts of the galaxy. Although most knowledge of the first settlers is lost, Oza remains the major hub of life. There are a variety of different attitudes, creeds, and understandings among the denizens of Oza, making the planet not only diverse in species, but in attitudes as well. And then here it gives you the description of each of the different species and how it affects your stats. For instance, the Guri, being these huge individuals, give you +5 combat, +5 strength. Nice. And then if we look here at the Saiki, extra pattern. Now what the heck's a pattern? What is that? That's gonna come in when it comes into the Mancer abilities. We'll get to that later. So yeah, they have some psychic powers. And 1 extra synapse, +5 intellect. I'm gonna tell you right now, just in advance, so you're not like, what the heck? A pattern is an unlimited use ability that you get. So you can do that any time of the day. But synapse is kind of like a spell that you can only use once a day, if I remember. And if you try to use it more than once a day, then you have to roll on a table that has bad consequences if you fail. But anywho, the Deseti. While Deseti are said to be the planet's only indigenous beings, the truth is no one knows. They resemble Earth's Komodo dragons in physiology, but have evolved in a way that makes them far more intelligent than their alien relatives. Look at this Satiri here, I love it. Carrying a flag, look at these boots with the toes. I'm not sure if that's attractive or utilitarian in nature. Nice. Okay, day jobs. The way it is. In Oza, you're either a gunner or you're a trustee. Everyone in Oza works for one of the many clans. Gunners enjoy luxuries within the clan and are chosen and trained based on their skills. Trustees, however, are the people living in a given clan's territory, working in their clan's industry and paying taxes to the clan. Outside the city, many others reject the life in Oza by living as nomads. No matter who you are, gunner, trustee, or nomad, all are subject to Gordinaak's wrath. There's no safety from Gordinaak. And here are the jobs. You got Buster, Fixer, Stalker, Mancer. And here it does change your stats a bit. Tells you different panic effects. I kind of like that your job changes your panic effects. Then you have different skills that you start with, and it affects your saves right here. So I guess you only roll for the stats, and then here, instead of doing the classic Teamster, Android, Scientist, Marine, this has been replaced with Buster, Fixer, Stalker, Mancer. Ooh, Mancer. Gifted, cursed, mind-bending freaks considered a necessary evil by most clans looking to build a reputation. What the heck's a Buster? Tank cracking, head knocking, mech busting motherfuckers. Busters use exo armor to even the odds between infantry and cavalry. Fixer, the doers, the go-to guys. Fixers use exo armor to be right in the thick of things, repairing and refueling mechs on the fly. The Stalker, triggermen, sly, sneaky. Stalkers are nomads, snipers, and backroom dealers. We have the races, now we have the classes, now we have the skills. What you know, the skills in this section are abstract representations of a character's ability. Skills can be applied to any check or save. Here it tells you the skill ranks. There are some skills here that aren't in the base Mothership game. Mech piloting isn't in the base Mothership game. Drone piloting, that could just all go under piloting, but here they've separated them out. So there's definitely different skills, because if you look here at this beautiful art, you're gonna see there's definitely gonna be some mechs involved, which require additional rules. But speaking of additional rules, let us look at the Mancers. Mancers choose choose one pattern, this is an at-will ability at level 1, and one synapse, a limited use ability, per rank per level. Synapse ranks may be used to purchase more synapses or progress a synapse's power. Ooh, interesting. This really does have a little mini game within it. Mancers may use synapses once per level per day or risk consequence. For every attempt after all synapse slots are used, Mancers must make a sanity save. If the save is failed, roll on the overexertion table. And on the next page is the overexertion table. So if you're trying to use your synapses too much, then boom, you're gonna have some problems. So let's look at a couple of these after we look at a couple of the patterns and synapses. Synapses, who cares? Patterns, minor telekinesis. You got telepathic communication. You can bend spoons. Ooh, manipulate palm-sized bits of metal. Minor pyrokinesis. Ooh, and minor terrakinesis. What is terrakinesis? Manipulate palm-sized bit of dirt or stone. But now we get into the synapses. Astral projection, teleport, speak with the dead, clairvoyance, calm, suggest. These are not the droids you're looking for. And then they have different ranks here, level 2, level 3, etc. Levitate, heal, telekinesis, pyrokinesis, terrakinesis, imbue weapon, Mancer weapon, side punch, read minds, shield. Ooh, some good Mancer abilities here. I'm invested. But let's check out the overexertion table. As I like to do in Mothershow, I like to go halfway here. This is a scale from 2 to 20 because you're rolling 2d10. So let's look at number 10. Mancer bridge. You form an unintentional bond with a nearby Mancer entity and can communicate with it and share its field of vision. The other entity can do the same. Well, that's not so bad. That's kind of interesting. You have this bond with some stranger. 20. Synapses cast as expected without using a slot. Oh, what happens if you roll a 2? Mancer energy explodes from inside you. Everyone within 10 feet suffers 2d10 psychic damage. Okay, so it starts shitty and it gets better. So you want to roll high here. You don't want to roll low. Like number 3, bleeding from the ears. Number 19, synapses just cast as expected. All right, cool. Let's talk about some of the gear. Look at this gear. I just want to own it. Look at this hammer. Look at this knife. Got little spikes on it. Ow. So weapons. From drones to guns to the most basic of wares, the factories of Oza churn out an amazing array of goods, especially armaments. The standard currency in Oza is plati, thinly beaten pieces of laminated platinum bearing the adornments of the clan that minted them. That actually makes me think that it's almost like Mad Max meets John Carter from Mars meets a twinge of Warhammer. Characters have a variety of choices when it comes to equipping themselves. This list is by no means comprehensive. If something's not listed and you want to know if it exists, think of vaguely 1980s weird future movies. So here you have different weapons, brass knuckle, sniper rifle. Look at some of these do mega damage, MDMG, that's mega damage. Ooh, and it tells you right there. There are 2 types of damage in Gordinaak, regular damage and mega damage, which equals 100 damage each. Look at this power sword. That's very Warhammer. But here's the good stuff. Equipment XO armor. XO armor, 5,000 platy, busters and fixers only. You get plus 15 strength and speed. While wearing XO armor, characters can withstand any amount of damage 3 times, and these are called hits. When XO armor runs out of hits, characters roll in the XO armor failure table. If you roll low, nothing happens, lucky you. So in this table, you wanna roll low. 10, signal burst. An electrical charge flows through the neural link, causing 2d10 damage. Power source explodes, dealing 3d10 damage in an area. You're not likely gonna survive that. But here's different equipment I believe that you can add on into your XO armor, which just enhances you. Look at this guy swinging this sword around, killing these people. Some XO armor. Then you have drones here. 1 character controlling a drone right there. And there's different types of abilities you can get on your drones. Drones take their turns last in initiative. If a roll is required to complete a task, the character must roll the drone's frequency plus drone piloting skill. So frequency must be a unique thing to drones. Frequency also acts as the drone's save. Drones may have 1 ability from the list equipped at a time that can be switched during a rest period. Charges are how many times each ability can be used. So I guess a drone starts with 3 hits and 60 frequency, and it just told you what frequency is used for. Here's your abilities. You can disable, deliver meds, poison gas, flamethrower. You can control mech. A drone touching a mech can force the mech to make an overload save or become controlled by the drone pilot for 1 round. So I'm assuming mechs have overload, just like drones have frequency. It's probably a unique thing to mechs. And then drone drill, force eject. So the rules. For the majority of the rules, please refer refer to TKG's Mothership Player Survivor Guide 0 Edition. They're talking about 0 Edition, not 1st Edition, so we're talking old school. Everything that's not in there or different for Gordinaak is listed below. Range and distance for mechs, you have close, near, and far. When a mech's MHP is depleted to 0, the mech is inoperable. The controlling character must make an overload save, or the mech explodes, dealing 2d10 mega damage to everything near. Near is between 60 and 30 yards. And then firearms have shots, range, and damage per the equipment table. Shots and range are listed here in reloading. It's just basically another system of how to explain how range is handled. Look at this bearded guy. He's wearing an exosuit with a huge, what is that, a water tank on his back, or is that a fuel tank? I'm not sure. Man, I really appreciate the theme here. Ooh, look at this sucker. Just tearing this guy apart. That is graphic. Panic and stress. So here is a new panic table. PCs suffer 1 stress whenever they take damage or fail a save. Checking for panic, rolling on the panic table. Let's look at some of these things. 30 is the worst, death. And you're supposed to roll 1d10 plus stress here. 30 is death. 29, his tendrils have you. Gordinaak owns you permanently. The Gunner Master will now play your character. I'm assuming the Gunner Master is Gordinaak's term for the Warden. So now your Game Master controls you. But if we look in the middle, afraid, gain a phobia. Fear safe to engage with phobia or flee. And then the lowest one, resolute, you actually reduce your stress by 2. It helps you if you roll low. Here's a mutation table. I don't know when mutations occur. Here you roll 2d10. Let's see if they increase or decrease and how horrible they are. 20, roll twice more and receive both mutations. Ugh. 2 is see no evil. Eye seal shut, cannot open without cutting. Ugh, 25% chance it's both eyes. Let's go in the middle here. 10, boils, sprout all over the player character, oozing blood and pus. Make some interactions difficult, others easier. Some pretty interesting art right here, just a floating eyeball. Here we go. Mech creation. Choose a chassis and note the max hull, MHP, spend up to MHP on mandatory modules, spend remaining MHP on weapons and secondary modules, calculate the stats, notate saves. So here's the stats: strength, speed, intellect, combat, and the saves. Here it is, here's the difference. Overload, stability, and armor. Overload is used in defensive, electrical, and hacking attacks. And then here you have this really cool flow chart on how your mech is created. And here you buy your different modules. So here's some weapons, chain sword. You have a rifle. This is in smaller print. I'll get this closer, see if you can see this. Secondary modules, jump jet cost, cloaking cost. You have a missile launcher in your weapons. Some really cool stuff here. Speaking of really cool stuff, take a look at this monster. This mech here is squeezing this gigantic monster's leg, crumpling it. The monster's in pain. Brawr! And then here's the map, Gordinaak, which we already looked at before. Oza is the main city. It's a city divided, and here it has random encounters for each of these areas. So Oza is this main city with just one main road that goes between it by the looks of it. Old Town, the discarded ones. The still ruined portion of Oza is a home to mutants, undesirables, and those who just don't fit in the feudal society of Oza. And then here's random encounters, some piled up debris, toucan eating freaking skull meat, interesting. The graves, another location. Oh man, I love this. This is a mech, been defeated, and here you just see the skeleton of someone who was in that mech and the ooze. And then repeated art right here, but random encounters for the ancient reminders. And then you have the altar and the slow sands. Definitely what looks like an 80s car here. Some setting sun, tower in the distance. The non-player characters and the bestiary. So here you learn about more of the characters, the Warring Twins, Quana, Sandspite. This is where you get to see some good character art. Star Soul. Look at this guy on top of this gigantic mech. It really gives you some size perspective of how big these mechs are. Benzene Fire, the Baron of Psychocene. Benzene has long lost his humanity from interacting with Psychocene. So what is Psychocene? Psychocene, from my understanding, is one of the main profitable exports of Gordinaak. And I think it's like the substance of Gordinaak himself. It's like this ichor that causes hallucinations. It's a valuable liquid substance, sticky and gooey. You got gangers, mancers, sand vipers, a bone maw. This is a bone maw. More of a legend, as no one has ever survived their attack. The devastation and littered bones, the only evidence of their existence. Rumors talk of a massive creature made of bones held together with Psychocene sludge. And here you have a flesh mech. Ooh, and here's a void mouth. That's what this creature is. Wonderful art, good work. And then we have the factory. So here are some random generating tables just to add some flavor. I love these. Roll on the tables to generate the mechs that will be the banes of your player's existence. You have a 1d10 table for the stats, and if you get higher on the MHP, I noticed that the combat is lower, so it kind of balances. So if you have something that's pretty powerful, it's not going to be as likely to hit you. Distinctive features, huge horns, bunny head. Number 5 is a leather finish. And here's weapons that it comes with: flaming slime launcher, a spear gun, tackles opponents. A nice picture of a mech. The sandbox, miscellaneous generators here. Here's a clan generator. This is pretty clever. 1d10, name part 1, name part 2. So let's suppose you roll a 25. You just created the Platinum Jackals. What's their defining feature? Let's go with 7. Only Mancers, and their industry is indoor agriculture. And if you want membership, it costs you this much. And then here's a desert town generator. Let's go with 25 here. Last Hill, famous for, we'll go with 2 here, the best buffalo pie, infamous for the lack of ozone influence and population small, mid-sized, large, huge. So you just roll d10s. So it gives you this whole creation process. I love it. And then here is the last bit of Gordinaak, and this is the built-in one-shot adventure. Your clan has been transporting Psychocene for the Messina clan from their Psychocene fields deep in the 1,000-mile desert. However, the past 2 convoys have not returned and your clan has been blamed. You're en route with another tanker, a trailer with a mid-side MADS. And here it tells you who some of the NPCs are that are joining you. Human, almost blind. Driver is Old Bill. You got Tamil, you got Corinth, and Cal. This is plot spoilerific. I'm gonna tell you everything that happens. On your way there, you're on the road. On the road, you come across someone who is dying. The man was most likely a nomad. He's barely breathing. No matter what you do, he's gonna sprout freaking black bony appendages that exit the body and lash out. This is beautiful because it is foreshadowing of what happened to your Psychocene transports previously. Then on the way, you have to stop at Sand Springs. This is a small, shoddy area with tough inhabitants. And you go to Rex's Lounge, which is like the Mos Eisley Cantina. You meet Rex, he's very polite, stands to greet all of the party, but then he tells you that your Psychocene tankers may have been killed by the Desert Shadow Gang. And the Desert Shadow Gang is sitting there, so what do? Do you confront the Desert Shadow Gang? Do you ask them like, hey, did you kill our teammates? Is that why we don't have Psychocene? Did you do anything? And then it gives you your combat skills right there. And then you have the Last Stop Inn, where you can go ahead and stay. But in the Last Stop Inn, you got Elenia, and she's sad because her lover was in one of the missing convoys. Next day, you hit the road part 2, and while you're on your way there, you see some of the trucks that are totally abandoned. But there is this one slime spider there that starts attacking you. Whoa! If you attack it with fire, that's the weakness. It auto crits. So you finally make it to the field, and there's nothing but bodies all over the place, and everyone's infected with these slime spiders. Worse, if you get touched by the slime spiders, you have to roll a body save or you get infected by the slime spider. So what does that mean? In 2 days, you're going to become a slime spider, or at least you're gonna sprout one out of your body and die. So you gotta make sure you make those body saves. And then going home, you just have to report that everybody's dead and it is overrun by these slime spiders. And that's Gordinaak. And here we have special thanks. I wanna start off by thanking everyone who's been supportive of me and Gordinaak over the past 3 years. It's been a long time coming with 3 years of rewrites, tweaks, and general inability to get this shit finished. But now it's done, and I couldn't have done it without all of you. I want to specifically thank the love of my life, Ashley. Without you, I wouldn't be half the man I am now. And big shout out to the body vandals. Whoop, whoop. Scott, Joseph, and Jonathan. You guys were my rocks for a significant portion of this journey. Body vandals for life, yo. And also thanks to Sean McCoy and Jarrett Crater. They've been amazing mentors and even better friends. Last but not least, thank you to everyone who has playtested Gordinaak over the years, and thank you for enduring the long ass wait. Thank you. Much love. All of that by Jeremy Childry. And there you have Gordinaak. What did you think? Did you like it? You tantalized? Think you'll do some adventures in the living planet of Gordinaak? It is 0 edition specific, so I'm not sure how well it will convert to 1st edition. Of everything we've looked at so far on this channel, this one is by far gonna be the hardest one to convert because the rules are intertwined with the 0 edition. So converting to 1st edition, a little bit difficult, but you know what? This will always be available too, so why not? Let me know your thoughts. You know, do the thing. You gotta pound the subscribe, validate my life choices. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I'm out of here.